The national debt just smashed past $40 trillion. $40 trillion. That is more than $119,000 on the back of every single man, woman, and child in this country. And while the politicians in Washington print money they don't have, our adversaries abroad aren't taking a day off. North Korea is firing barrages into the sea. Tehran is posturing in the Strait of Hormuz. The meat grinder in Ukraine is chewing through critical supply lines. And right now, at home in New York City, local leadership is sitting through rhetoric that would make any constitutional patriot's blood run cold. When leadership fails, the bill always comes due to the working citizens holding the line. Let's start right here at home in New York City. Mayor Zohran Mamdani is facing heavy blowback after footage surfaced from his visit to the Al Khoi Islamic Center out of Jamaica, Queens. Now, when elected officials show up at community centers, that's standard politics, but what happened here wasn't standard. During Friday prayers, an imam delivered an Arabic supplication, translated and published by the Middle East Media Research Institute, invoking end times messianic prophecies that explicitly referenced the return of Mahdi and the killing of infidels by the sword. Mamdani sat right through the prayer and addressed the congregation. This institution has historical ties and scrutiny dating back to Iranian-linked foundations. When you hold executive office, you don't get a free pass to smile and nod when extreme rhetoric is being broadcast under your watch. Real leadership requires standards, clarity, and accountability. Moving across the Pacific, Kim Jong-un is back to his favorite playbook. North Korea just fired a salvo of roughly 10 short-range ballistic missiles off its eastern coast, each flying nearly 200 miles. Why now? Because the U.S. and South Korea decided to shorten the annual Freedom Shield joint exercises by nearly a week. Washington offered an olive branch, and Pyongyang treated it like weakness. Kim Yo-jong came out immediately and said, cutting the drills means nothing. Meanwhile, inside North Korea, their domestic grid is completely collapsing under extreme summer heat. Even their priority regime monuments lost power. But instead of fixing basic infrastructure for their starving population, the regime spends millions firing steel into the ocean. This is what a totalitarian system looks like, and appeasement has never stopped a dictator. Iran and maritime choke points. Heading to the Persian Gulf, the pressure cooker in the Strait of Hormuz is tightening. U.S. Central Command confirmed naval compliance operations that redirected dozens of commercial vessels, disabled 3, and boarded 2 others to shut down illicit Iranian shipping networks. The U.S. Treasury also dropped fresh sanctions on financial pipelines tying directly back to the IRGC Quds Force. Tehran is crying foul, claiming U.S. maritime control is doomed to fail, while their diplomats scramble in Oman trying to negotiate navigation terms. At the same time, Beijing is quietly scaling back crude shipments from Iran because the risk and logistical bottlenecks are getting too high. Back home in Tehran, rolling blackouts and water shortages have hardliners and economic realists at each other's throats. When rogue regimes get backed into a corner economically, the risk of miscalculation on the water goes through the roof. The grind in Ukraine. On the Eastern Front in Ukraine, the attrition warfare has reached another critical boiling point. In Donetsk, Russian forces are pouring troops into the Pokrovsk and Kharkov corridors, trying to choke off Ukrainian logistic hubs with relentless artillery and glide bombs. Up north, inside Russia's Kursk region, Ukrainian units are holding ground under brutal counterattacks as Russian aviation pounds the flanks. Ukraine has responded by sending long-range strike drones deep into Russian territory, hitting oil depots, fuel storage, and tactical airfields to ground the bombers, dropping those glide munitions. With Ukrainian energy grids bracing for more missile strikes and Western nations continuing deliveries of interceptors and artillery, This conflict remains a grueling war of logistics, defense production, and sheer endurance. The $40 trillion fiscal cliff and bond volatility. Finally, the threat that underlies every single thing we just talked about, our own financial foundation. The U.S. gross national debt officially blew past $40 trillion. The federal government is borrowing over $10 billion net every single business day just to keep the lights on. The annual interest payment alone is over $1 trillion. We now pay more to service our debt than we budget for our entire national defense. In the bond market, the 10-year Treasury yield is pressing near 4.74%, and the 30-year is over 5.2%. That means mortgage rates are stuck near 6.7%. Small business borrowing is squeezed, and the government is crowding out private capital. You cannot maintain global security, protect constitutional liberties, or secure domestic peace when the fiscal engine is running on fumes and fiat debt. Folks, foreign adversaries don't respect weak policies, and our economy can't outrun basic mathematics forever. It comes down to self-reliance, accountability, and leadership, and keeping your eyes wide open. That's going to do it for today's briefing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs the unvarnished truth. You can find all our episodes, articles, and full coverage over at BehindTheLinePodcast.com and LeftCoastNews.net. Find us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Substack, and Patreon. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and keep holding the line.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.